A day when everything stopped. No traffic, no broadcasts, no normal life. Across Israel, people were observing Yom Kippur, fasting, reflecting, completely disconnected from the outside world. And that's exactly when the attack came. Within hours, the silence was shattered. Egyptian forces crossed the Suez Canal. Syrian troops stormed the Golan Heights. What followed wasn't just another war. It was a moment that exposed how fragile power really is. So how did a country that had dominated the region just 6 years earlier get caught completely off guard? And why did Egypt and Syria choose this exact moment to strike? To understand this war, you have to go back to 1967. The Six-Day War changed everything. Israel captured large territories, Sinai from Egypt, Golan Heights from Syria. It was fast, decisive, and it created a powerful image that Israel was almost unbeatable. But that image didn't go unchallenged. For Egypt and Syria, the defeat wasn't just about land. It was about status, pressure from their own populations, and the need to respond. Years passed, but the situation remained tense. No real political solution came out of it. Egypt's leadership began to shift its thinking. Instead of waiting for diplomacy that wasn't working, it focused on creating a new reality. The idea wasn't necessarily total victory. It was to break the perception that nothing could challenge Israel's position. Syria had its own goal: take back the Golan Heights. And this time, the strategy was different. No long warning, no gradual buildup, just one coordinated, sudden strike, designed to hit when the other side was least prepared. October 6, 1973. The timing wasn't random, it was calculated. The attack hit hard. On the southern front, Egyptian forces crossed the Suez Canal using detailed planning and preparation. They broke through defensive lines that were considered strong. Within hours, they had established a foothold on the eastern side. On the northern front, Syrian forces launched a massive push into the Golan Heights. Tanks rolled forward, positions were overrun. The pressure was immediate. For Israel, this wasn't expected. The response was slow at first. Many troops weren't in position. The system that was supposed to detect and prevent surprise had clearly failed. For a moment, the balance shifted. This is what made the war so shocking. Not just that it happened, but how effective the opening phase was. But wars don't stay in one phase. Israel quickly began mobilizing its reserves. Within days, the situation started to change. On the Golan front, Syrian advances slowed and then reversed under heavy counterattacks. The fighting there was intense. Close-range tank battles, constant pressure, high casualties. Eventually, Israel regained control of that front. In the south, things were more complex. Egyptian forces didn't rush forward blindly. They held their positions under a defensive system designed to limit Israeli air power. This created a different kind of battlefield, one where rapid counterattacks were costly. Israel tried to push back, but early attempts failed. Then came a critical shift. Israeli forces found a gap between Egyptian formations and launched a risky move, crossing the Suez Canal into the west side. Suddenly, the battlefield flipped. Egyptian forces that had advanced were now under threat from behind. Now both sides had momentum at different points. And at this stage, the war was no longer just regional. The United States and the Soviet Union became heavily involved, not directly fighting, but supporting their respective sides. The tension wasn't just about the Middle East, it had global implications. Then came another shock, not on the battlefield, but in the global economy. Arab oil-producing countries imposed restrictions on oil exports. This triggered a global energy crisis, affecting countries far beyond the conflict zone. So a war that started on two fronts quickly expanded into something much larger. After weeks of intense fighting, pressure built for a ceasefire. Eventually, in late October, the fighting slowed and agreements were made to stop the war. But the real question is, what changed? Militarily, the outcome wasn't simple. Israel managed to recover from the initial blow and push back, but the early success of Egypt and Syria proved something important, that the balance of power was not fixed. For Egypt, the war achieved a key objective. It broke the psychological impact of the 1967 defeat. It showed that the situation could be challenged. For Israel, the war exposed serious weaknesses, especially in intelligence and preparedness. The idea that surprise was unlikely had been proven wrong. And in the long term, the war forced a shift, not just in military thinking, but in politics. The years after the war saw movement toward negotiations, eventually leading to agreements that reshaped relations in the region. But that doesn't erase what the war revealed. It showed how quickly control can be disrupted, how assumptions can fail, and how even a strong position can be tested under the right conditions. So what made the Yom Kippur War so important? It wasn't just the battles, it was the message that no situation is permanent, that power can be challenged, and that sometimes the biggest shocks in history come not from long buildups, but from a single, carefully chosen moment when everything changes.